So finally, after 6 months, the Ukrainian aid package has now passed in America. And also, again, it's Rishi Sunak, but hey, when he does something good, I think it should be praised. He has also announced more aid to go to Ukraine as well, just this week, too. So, heck, the more aid that goes to Ukraine, the better. We have talked about this, why Ukraine need this aid, how important it's going to be, how especially important it is they are getting this aid now, especially as we go probably into the summer, where once again, because of the terrain in Ukraine, we are going to see a lot more action take place as the mud starts to dry out. That is going to have a big effect on the battlefield. It's going to change a lot of things, but the Ukrainians are now going to get more armor, more ammunition. They've got F-16s on the way. These are going to have big, big impacts on the battlefield. And as always, as always, it's got all the crazies, the tankies, absolutely furious. George Galloway is calling this blood aid. Yeah. Um and the I love the fact that these people are just so crazy about it, because we're going to go over a comment that was left under one of my videos. Now, I've invited this guy on. I don't know if this guy will come on. We'll get into his his reasons why in a moment. But as I've said before, I want to talk to one of these people. I really do, because I have a ton of questions to ask these people, which I don't think they themselves have even stopped to ask themselves or been asked before, because they are just hooked on this the notion, as you'll see in a moment, and it's questions you've seen plenty of times before, so you know what's coming. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So we'll get into this comment in a moment, and hopefully we'll see if this guy comes on or not. We'll see what happens. But as always, before we do kick off, please do remember to click the like, the share button, and of course the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Down below, there are links to the Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course the Pony Club down below as well. And of course, it is Wednesday as well. So if you are a member of the Patreon or the Pony Club, today is Wednesday, so that means a new video will be coming out later. I am also later on. Oh, actually, I've probably already done it. At the time I'm recording this, I have probably just done a live stream with Josh. I believe we're doing it at 1 o'clock, so definitely done it by this point. So do go check that out as well. We'll be talking about tactical voting at the local elections, and of course the Movement Forward's website that they have promoting sort of areas, and how you can sort of vote tactically and how you can use that website to use your vote in the best way possible to, well, beat the Tories. So as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Like I say, click the like, click the share button. As you can see, links down below. And as you can see, it's scrolling across the bottom of the page as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does support the channel. So let's get on to this. So as you know, earlier on the week, I did a video about the Ukraine aid bill finally being passed, all the drama that had been unfolding around it. And of course, we get a comment. Now, I'm not going to mention this guy's name, but if you go there, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see him, me asking him, do you want to come on or not? Because I want to talk to one of these people, because their boldness in claiming a lot of this stuff, I think, speaks volumes about who they are trusting, who they are speaking to themselves, who they are watching, and where they are getting their information from. So a lot of this you will have heard before. If you haven't seen these types of conversation before, get ready. It's about to get funny. So he starts off saying, calling this money Ukraine aid is Orwellian in the extreme. So Ukraine aid, Orwellian. Orwellian. How? certainly if this guy comes on, if he steps up to the plate, I'm going to be asking him why on earth is Ukraine aid Orwellian? Because we are providing aid, be it or in this case, America's providing aid, and so are we in the UK to Ukraine. What is Orwellian about that? But from there, we go on to the next one. NATO provoked this war. NATO did not provoke this war. NATO did absolutely nothing to provoke this war. They were not the ones who invaded Ukraine. There was absolutely no threat. What happened here was that Russia invaded Ukraine. And if you want to go even further than this, as I will probably ask him, what do you think to the fact that quite some time ago, well, just a couple of years ago, in fact, Vladimir Putin said that if Ukraine wanted to join NATO, that was their decision. Apparently, he's changed his mind since then. So, anyway, let's go on to the next one here. So, he says they have now used Ukraine as their proxy with the aim of weakening Russia, knowing full well that Ukraine could never win a military conflagration with their gigantic neighbor. Once again, the whole idea that Ukraine can never win because Russia is just so huge. Well, let's go back right to the start of this war. Once again, if you followed any of this with any seriousness, and you followed the proper experts, not the experts this guy's following, but if you follow the proper experts, you know that Ukraine time and time again has held back their gigantic, unstoppable neighbor, their neighbor who is meant to have the second largest, most advanced military in the world. Turns out they've been able to do pretty well and retake over 50% of the territory that Russia took in this conflict. I'd say they're doing pretty well. Now, next he continues, over 500,000 Ukraine servicemen lie dead in the mud thanks to the West's evil vanity project. I would heavily dispute what that would be. 500,000, you are at that point saying Ukraine would not have an army. If over 500,000 are dead, Ukraine would not have an army at this point. So once again, all these Ukrainians are again fighting for their freedom, and I take real issue to the fact that this guy is saying, "Oh, these people have died in a the West's evil vanity project." These people are fighting for their freedom, the future of their country, the future to decide what their country does. And yet, absolutely no recognition for these people and how hard they are fighting. Once again, a question we would ask this guy if he does decide to come on, what he thinks the Ukrainians are actually fighting for. But there you go. So anyway, he continues. The UK, France, the US, and Germany can all pack up and go home. But Ukraine will always have thousands of miles of border with Russia. The country with the most nuclear weapons on planet Earth. That's still thousands of miles of border that they are worried about that Russia will just come back and take more land and do more damage and do this again and do this again. One of the things that Ukraine is trying to get out of this is guarantees that Russia cannot come back and do this again in another 8 years. And that is what we have seen time and time again that Ukraine are trying to do. This is why they are trying to join NATO, because they know that if they are in NATO, Russia ain't going to mess with them again. So it doesn't matter how many nuclear weapons Russia has. It's all about Ukraine trying to secure its own peace, its own independence. and it sees joining NATO as a way to secure that peace and independence. So he continues, all the happy clappy Ukrainian flag waving dupes bought into this war were nothing more than useful idiots. So apparently, I'm a useful idiot who has helped executive a monumental grift by Raytheon, BA, Northrop, Grumman, Boeing, Dassault, Lockheed, and of course the rest of the military-industrial complex. Shock horror, shock horror. Companies that make military equipment make money during a wartime. Like how is that meant to be a surprise? How on earth are we suddenly useful idiots? Of course, companies like this make money. Like I've always seen this from people who use this, that are somehow like use this as like the biggest gotcha, that these companies make money. Yeah, of course. What you think they're gonna do? Not make money? Anyway, and he finishes off with, Russia was always going to defeat Ukraine, and every serious analyst knew it. Well, Russia has not defeated Ukraine yet. And I'd be interested to see what he would say. He might deploy the trope we've seen before that, oh, you don't understand, Russia's just fighting one with one hand behind its back. It's going easy on Ukraine. Russia, from what we have seen, has lost a monumental, not only amount of men as dead, it's had huge casualties. It's lost over half of its tank capacity, with it having to pull out tanks that were last seen like operational back in like the 60s and 70s. It's losing APCs, its armored fighting personnel vehicles, hugely as well. It is having to rely on getting ammunition from North Korea, which is substandard from what we've seen from some of the pictures posted by Russian soldiers themselves when they have actually had a look at this ammunition. We have seen them actively participate in just human wave type tactics, as we saw in Adivka, which resulted in the loss of over 17,000 casualties. And that is from a Russian military blogger, by the way. And if you once again go back to the beginning of this war, there were a lot of people saying, oh no, Ukraine's going to lose. Ukraine's going to lose this in 3 days. But if you actually look at what a lot of the people, the actual serious experts doing this, they look back at what happened last time when, Russia tried to take Crimea and tried to take Donbass and sort of more the Donbass area and into sort of Mariupol, but were beaten back by under-equipped, under-trained militia. And they looked again at what Russia was doing again, and they saw that actually Ukraine is going to do quite well. Once again, why Ukraine going to do so well? Because they are going to have a technological edge over Russia with these weaponry, with the tactics and the capabilities, able to outmaneuver and outfight Russia on every single point of the battlefield. That is what we are going to see. And that is what is going to lead to Ukraine's victory. Because Russia cannot sustain this level of casualties that it is taking. And that is because of Western weaponry and Western aid that it is receiving. That is the story. We know even Dmitry Medvedev says they cannot fight beyond 2025, that after potentially next year, they are doomed. They're going to sort of be in a bit of a problem. And if they are losing this much of manpower that we've seen reported, not only by the BBC, but by Russian military bloggers themselves, yeah, you cannot sort of withstand that amount of loss of manpower for too long without having to do some extreme conscription. And bear in mind, they have been doing some extreme conscription in sort of the more ethnically different parts of Russia, as we saw in Dagestan very recently, where there was a massive riot against military conscriptors trying to recruit people there. Sooner or later, they are not going to take it. So that's what he said initially. And of course, I invited him on. Uh, and he said, in response to this, I'll be better off inviting an expert. Well, apparently, what you've given me there, you have expert knowledge. You are confident enough to come onto YouTube and post, quite frankly, what I would consider to be absolute nonsense. I'm not an expert either. But I think we could have a conversation in and around this, and I'm interested to put to you a load of questions that I would love to ask to people like yourself. I don't think you'll like your own answers, to be honest, or what you would have to say to a lot of my questions. And if you do really consider then maybe you should really consider about the experts you've been listening to and think that actually you are the one being fed, well, the codswallop here. Because if this data is so easy to access as you claim, why then can we look at the data that is out there, provided by multiple different Western sources, and see that it contradicts massively everything that Russia is saying? Because it's not like Russia has been the biggest, shall we say, truth teller during this war. In fact, it lies on multiple occasions about this. So we'll see if this guy ends up coming on. If he does, I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun. But I honestly am not expecting this guy to take up the gauntlet, because very often these people do not want to appear online or in a live sense, because they know if they are questioned, they might not be able to substantiate a lot of their stuff. So, hey, we'll see what happens. But yeah, as always, like I say, hit the subscribe button. You never know. We might catch one at last. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.